when I came back to this, I set some very clear boundaries with myself, my husband, and my coach. And it was at the end of the day, I need to do this for me. And if my mental health starts to waver, I'm done.
Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today we are speaking with your Miss Bikini USA, who started competing in 2017 as a form of therapy from a severe eating disorder and never looked back. She credits the sport to saving her life and has since competed in 13 shows, 7 of those being national shows, and then recently placing 5th at the Tahoe Pro for her pro debut, which is an amazing accomplishment. She is a fitness and lifestyle coach, wife, and fur mom. Welcome to the show, Emmy Schwartz. How are you doing?
I am doing so good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy you're here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So you know the drill. I've got to ask you if there's anything you do or think about before your heel hits the stage.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, kind of nothing super crazy, like traditional stuff, like, get cozy backstage, turn into like a little blanket burrito, um, put on like, your like solid, your pump up music. But I think the one thing, and it's not like a tradition kind of thing, but you know how when you're on stage and those moments where like you're just on, like it clicks, you're flowing, everything's great, you're queen of the world. I think like I've gotten, and sometimes not as good, but I'm pretty good at like channeling that almost in like a like people who are really good at meditating, how they can just like access that.
Mhm.
So like the second my heel hits the stage, that smile comes on, like being able to like turn it on. I don't know. It's just like these little cues that you give yourself. And I guess like it's just queuing up when you're like that next girl on and like prepping for that. Like that's it.
I love that feeling. Like it's so just talking with you about that, hearing you share that, it's like, wow, that is one of the best feelings. That's part of what makes me miss being on stage, like whether it's during a improvement season or
Mhm.
it's now that I'm retired or what it is. Like I loved that feeling of you're lined up backstage and something just switches and you're ready to like perform.
Yes. Yes, that's it. It is like this alter ego that comes out that it's like a character, really and truly. And like that moment when you are just like so into it, it's just fun. And it makes it
Yes.
fun to be up there.
It is so fun. So actually, you know what? That brings me to a question. How did you go from just turning pro to developing a pro routine and placing 5th? I mean, that's a big accomplishment, but also that time
So,
frame was really short. So how did
sure
you
was.
develop your pro routine right after going pro?
So there was my pro debut was 2 weeks after I went pro.
Yeah.
And so kind of a little backtrack on that. Like I had always like anticipated once I eventually went pro to like take some time off and then build. I mean, these girls are like the jaw hits the floor when you're like, you could have muscle that dense. Like these
Right.
girls these girls are like insane and they're gorgeous and they're amazing. But I talked to my coach immediately after and she was like, girl, you won an overall and also like get up there. Like what's the worst? Like the worst thing was we get feedback going into an off season and see where you stack up as a pro.
Mhm.
Um so I was like, you're not wrong. There's really nothing to lose here. I'm already like bags are already packed. Let's go.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I literally, the one thing I was like, hey, I just want to make sure like we have time to put together a routine. And she's like, don't stress too much about it. We're literally just adding like a walk. We'll add some flair. And I don't know. It was just one of those things that like we wanted to simplify it and then just kind of kept adding more personality to it. And it's just something where like if you're practicing posing daily anyway, you just add a little bit to it. These are like certain things that you've already done for so long. Um, and it's one of those things that like, I don't know, you kind of dream about for a long time. So like sometimes when you're just like having a good posing day and you have some flow and you're like, how does this movement look? How does this? Like, I don't get to do this in an NPC routine, but it's just fun. So yeah, just kind of putting it all together, over practicing 13 times a day. Like,
That is so awesome. And then you did it and you had an incredible success. I mean, placing fifth at your first pro show, at a very competitive pro show too, is amazing. So what was that experience like for you?
oh my goodness. So I'm coming off the high from USA's, like I was going into this with like one, nothing can take me off this high, period.
Yeah.
But then I also like I went in, I think probably for the first time as an athlete, basically not really having expectations. I mean, I knew that there was some like once the list came out, like a little bit of outside pressure, just because in the best way possible. Like people were so sweet and so supportive. But like I went into it just being like, listen, I am here for the experience. I chose that particular show. A big part of the reason, there's a couple of reasons, but a big part of it was just they do such a good job with like the production, the experience, and just like how the athletes are treated, like all that extra. And it's in Tahoe, which is beautiful. So I went into it just being like, I'm here to have fun. My coach gets to be here. I'm here to have a good time. Like I don't know. I'm riding on such a stinking high from that. And then you get there and just like from start to finish, just like from check-ins, from everything, meeting these girls who are like, your friends on social media and you know of some of them and you've looked up to some of them for so long. Everyone's so sweet and welcoming and kind and just everything from start to finish was just you felt like royalty. Like the way
Mhm.
Center Podium treated all of us and how kind and how insistent the judges were and how insistent everyone backstage was of you got all the time in the world. Like you're the only pros here. You get all the time in the world. You were treated so well. And then on top of that, to like, I mean, this could be a whole rant in and of itself,
Go
but
for
like,
it. We got time.
like, it's just crazy. I mean, placing fifth I like I said, I went in with like zero expectations. It was looking like I was somewhere in that top 10 around prejudging, and I left that stage so happy. I was so happy. I was like on cloud nine, so grateful, and was just like, I placed somewhere in the top 10 in my pro debut. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And then at finals, they just kept, doing different, like doing more confirmations and pulling more girls out. And it was like, inching and inching my way closer. And it was like the second I was pulled out like farther and moved to the center and then moved up farther. And then all of a sudden I was being compared to like these girls who were placing in like the top three at some huge shows, Olympians. Like I was like,
Hmm.
this is fun. This is cool. But like, not me. Like, I don't know why they're moving me around. Maybe they're trying to get me out of the way. I don't know.
Okay.
But, so it was just like, it's such a cool experience. And I feel like in those moments, like that stage persona just like clicks on and that confidence comes and you're like, well, okay, let me give them something, like let me fight for this. So, but anyway, so when they did a confirmation, they told us who like the top 10 was. And I was like, cool. And then they did another one, told us who like the top 5 or 6 was. And I was like, I think you got my number wrong. And then when
When
they
you were
like
backstage, they're telling you this?
yeah, because they were
Okay.
kept adding like confirmation rounds. So they would tell like the expediters backstage who like what numbers to call. And eventually when they were like doing awards for they were going to award the top six. And so I was like fully prepared to go out there for that sixth place spot and very happy and very honored to do so. And then when they didn't call my number, I was like, oh, they got my number wrong. So I'm supposed to be like off stage
Oh,
already.
that would be horrible if that was the case. Can you
Oh, could you
imagine?
imagine?
You're just like standing up there when everyone got there, like, oops.
You're like, shoot. Oh, well, honestly, I still would have been so happy. But to hear that, like, and have that, and then that was just, I don't know, like icing on the cake moment. And it was an awesome show. And I think some of it still hasn't 100% clicked yet and doesn't feel real. This is stuff that have dreamt about for so long that it feels like maybe I'm still dreaming.
Yeah. Didn't you get to do a boat photo shoot after too?
That was the coolest thing in the entire world. The coolest thing. I mean, again, like that experience itself was amazing. Getting to bond and hang out with some of the girls and just be with them was so fun. And then
Oh.
Tahoe. Oh my gosh, there's nothing like that. This sounds really, really, really lame and really cliche to say, but it is one of those places on earth that it makes you like step back and be like, what? Like, this was created by nature, and like everything else in the world feels like very insignificant in those moments. It's just crazy.
Well, especially when you're like riding that high too of like you just
Totally.
won your pro card, you just placed fifth at your pro show, you're around these amazing women who you admire and respect,
Yeah.
and now you're in this incredibly beautiful place, soaking it all in. It's a lot different than taking a plane home the next day.
Oh yeah. And I've definitely had those plane rides home where there were tears and you were like choking it back and you were like, is this really for me? So in those moments, you're kind of like, seriously, like somebody pinched me. Is this real life?
Yeah,
So yeah, it was unreal. Unreal.
that's so cool. What did you think of the photo shoot experience?
It was so much fun. It was so cool because we all like got there and like we're taking like our own photos and it was very casual. And then there were some points where there was like, no, like they're doing drone footage, like you're on 24/7. But we all just like had a blast. Like it was just enjoyable. We are laughing the entire time. It was also nice too because they had um like the pro girls, and it was great for us to like all spend time with each other. And then they brought in like the NPC overalls, and I think it was just nice
Oh,
to like hang out with them too, and for them to have that like experience too, but for us to get to know them and connect with them as well.
that's really awesome. That's so special. I didn't know that they did that.
They did. And I again, super new pro, so me sitting there, I was like literally, if that were me literally a few months ago, like how special that would feel and how cool it would be to be like, okay, wow, like I'm a part of this. I'm, getting to sit next to people that I admire and things like that. So I was like, that, I don't know, maybe
Oh.
I'm just a little bit more connected to that because I'm such a new pro. But I thought that that was really awesome. And just to see how happy and excited they were and how proud they were of all that they accomplished, that was amazing too. And it was just good. It keeps things in perspective.
Oh, for sure. And I think, your journey is one that is it probably very relatable for some of them too. I mean, coming so for you, you came so close to your pro card multiple times. And
Yeah.
like you said, there were times you flew back home, choking back tears. So and it was 2019 USA's where you took right after that, you took 6 years
Yeah.
off. If you're like maybe I'm done, right? Like you thought you were gonna retire.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it is like a full circle moment
Right.
because I was actually a little nervous going into the show because I try not to have like emotional connections to that stuff. Like I'm a very, I tie myself emotionally to a lot of things, but there was a little bit of fear of like, I got my heart hurt here pretty bad, a few years ago. So,
Oh, for
but
sure.
but yeah, so 2019, I was placing in consistently circling the top five nationally for a couple of years. And there's like kind of like this cliche and like it doesn't mean anything, but when you are that close and you're with like the same girls in your class, like everyone's like, it's your time, it's your time, the next time's your time. Like they don't have control over that. Like that's
Right.
something, but still, it's like this thing, and you kind of get it in the back of your head. But either way, it was like, doing well. And then that was the year that like I feel like 2019 was the year where the division did start to evolve pretty drastically. And especially just in terms of like muscularity.
Hmm.
And I wasn't 21 yet because I turned 21 after USA's. So I was 20 years old, was super young, and just didn't have like the muscle maturity. I'm not sitting here saying I deserve to be, in that top five because I didn't, at all. But it was the first show ever where I placed below fifth place. And when you are consistently right there, and when you have the background that I do, where, being told this wasn't what they're saying, so you can't put words in their mouth, but it's how it felt, that almost good enough feeling.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden you take a huge step back. And I don't know what I even actually, my placing was eighth, ninth, 10th, 36. I don't know. It was somewhere in second call outs. But so to take that huge step back, I had to kind of step back and reevaluate, okay, well, what do I want out of the sport? Where do I see myself going? Where do I want out of life? Like I was, graduating college at that time, figuring out what the heck I wanted to do. And then I realized I didn't know who I was
Mm.
without competing. And it was something that was so good for me for so long, suddenly felt like it was holding me in a box.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what, like, on the chessboard, what my next move was. And so I had to take some time and reevaluate. And it took me a little bit, but then like a few months later, I was like, I'm gonna take some time off. I don't know what that looks like. I never say never, human being. And then that kind of turned into over the years, like, I said I was retired at that point. Like it was several years later. Other life things happened, had moved on, changed careers, moved across the country a couple times, got married. Like life just happened. So I thought I was retired. I thought I was done. Like I kind of stepped back out of the industry. Like I really got out of things. And so it definitely is like a full circle moment for like that to be the show. The show that almost ended me is the show that I feel like took me to that next place.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, I have so many questions.
Ask away.
So many things are going through my mind. I mean, first of all, I guess, were you dating your husband when you were competing, or did you guys start dating in the time you were taking off?
So my now husband, we started dating when I was retired. I think we met early 2020. So it would have been shortly after.
What was his take on you going back to it?
So he did a couple of shows
Oh, wow. Okay.
years prior before we met. So like we actually met because of like friends who are competitors, and they introduced us. So like
Oh.
we've always been in that circle. So it's not like he's completely removed from it. Um, but it was a conversation because he's only
Yeah.
ever known me as like Emmy the person, not Emmy the athlete. And so it definitely was a conversation. And quite frankly, it was a big one because and so this kind of goes back and maybe a different direction, but like I didn't do a great job at communicating why I wanted to come back, why all this was happening, like why I suddenly was spending way more time in the gym or not home as much. And
Yeah.
that definitely caused like a rift for a little bit because I think that's on me. I didn't do a great job at that. And that made him be like, well, I don't really want you to because you're gone. You're never here. I never see you. We're all of a sudden like not as connected. But once we had those conversations and once he understood my why and like where this all came from, He is my biggest supporter in the entire world. He is the best
Oh,
stage husband. He does my tan. He like
wow.
carries my bags. He's the best. He's the absolute best. But it definitely was like, wow, all of a sudden there's like contention there. And really funny, the reason I actually like thought I, got like the spark to come back was I was actually prepping for my wedding.
Oh, okay. I was
Yep.
curious, like, what was that spark for you?
Yep. So we actually did two ceremonies. We did one with family, one with friends. And when I was getting ready for our first ceremony, I all of a sudden like I've never left the gym, but I definitely went through the motions, was like quite frankly banking on the fact that I had like muscle already built up and I can kind of, coast through. My diet was always pretty in check. Um, so I was never like training hard, to be completely honest, for like 5 years. And when I decided I wanted to just, tighten up a little bit for my wedding, look, feel my best, I got a coach and because again, like I've had coaches for so long. I'm a coach. I understand the value of them. I just
Hmm.
wanted somebody else to be like, here, do this. I'll go execute. I fell in love with it again. I fell in love with the passion and it became like such a, I don't know, just a good mental release for me. I felt good again. I did it for me. And I got to like, a really, really good, obviously I had lost some muscle, but like I still got to like a really, really good place where I felt good. It was the best my husband has ever seen me look. Like there was confidence coming back.
Yeah.
Then, so I kind of toyed with it a little bit after that first ceremony and was like, well, I don't know, like all the like the buts and the what ifs and the this and the that. And again, the division had grown in a beautiful way, but I was much more petite. And so I was always like, I don't know, I don't foresee myself wanting to put on that size again or take the time to put that size on again. But you know what? Let me just go through this, do it because I love it, because it makes me happy. If it happens, it happens. We'll see. If I ever decide to do this again, it's going to be more for just for me.
Yeah.
So then I was getting ready for the second ceremony. I did put on like a decent amount of size, just, kind of reaping the benefits of like having muscle memory in the past, kind of beginner gains thing again, because I was off
Yes.
for so long. Um, And basically, so I did that ceremony. We were in Mexico. And then a month later, I did my first show again. And kind of the mindset of, I'm already lean.
Mhm.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And then it got stuck. Came back to it. Reached, like,
I
pulled you
love that.
back
Well, like, I think one of the things that stands out to me is you had said that you were very petite, but here you
in.
are doing so well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you clearly put on some size. I mean, I don't know what it was looking like from your first ceremony to your second, but like
Mhm.
when you compare your physique to some of the top competitors, I mean, you've always had a lot of muscle, in my opinion. So now I'm really wanting to know the way you like you would position yourself after USA to say maybe I need to take time off to grow, looking at these
Mhm.
women. But then you went and you placed fifth. Was your feedback at that point to grow?
So my feedback after USA's was, I mean, aside from like trophies, accolades, all that other, great stuff, that's arbitrary. Um, One of the things I'm most proud about is my feedback. And so Sandy just said, she's like, I just have beautiful written down here. She's like, your shape, your
Oh,
structure for the division, it is perfect. She's like, if we're gonna like really look long term, she's like, in your front pose, a little bit of upper glute, just continue to build that. She's like, but don't change your upper body. She's like, maybe a little bit tighter in your glutes and hamstrings, and which is funny because I knew that we had like this whole peaking oops thing that happened that
really?
yeah, but yeah, so I was looking a lot tighter going into that show. And then somewhere between, because I was actually traveling quite a bit right beforehand. I was on the East Coast and then I came all the way to the West Coast. And so we think something had changed with like, I got really, really dry when I got there. And then between carb loading, between just everything, weather, that all of a sudden my body had said, nope, that's it. We're done. Can't take anymore,
Mm.
which has happened to me before. And it's always been a struggle. And I hold
Mm.
water in the back of my legs quite a bit. But we think it kind of worked out because if I came in as dry as I was looking and as we intended to bring me in for that show based on nationals feedback, I don't think I would have done as well.
What was Nationals feedback?
Get leaner.
Well, you certainly did.
Well, yeah, definitely. That was the goal. That was the goal, was to bring like the same shape and balance, but just get leaner, mostly in the back of my
Yeah.
legs.
I was gonna
Um,
say, I'm looking at your stage shots and I'm comparing them and I'm like, yeah, the back of your legs are like way tighter at Tahoe. Like that,
oh
almost
my
to the point where it
God.
shocks me that she said need to be even. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like skewed, but like, how do you get tighter? Like
Oh my God,
how?
girl, it was an accident. Okay.
No way.
Yeah, yeah. So we were like, okay, great, amazing. Like, love that feedback. That's super. Again, that's another reason I did a show 2 weeks later. It's like, okay, we already know that we can pull it in just a smidge. Like, we're not going to overdo
Yeah.
it. Not going to be crazy. It's going to be a pretty nice, like, coast into things. Shelbs and I were already like, my coach Shelby was like, we got some data on how you're peaking. We know exactly, we're going to push your peaking later in the week. Like, things will be good. Well, my body went into absolute overdrive between the Friday before Tahoe and my stage weight from USA's. I think I dropped like 5 pounds on accident.
Whoa,
And
yeah, your body was like, okay, we're just gonna drop and keep grind.
apparently, and that's the thing, is it wasn't like we were being like starving into the show.
Right.
Like, we were feeding me. I was eating like a gross amount of food just to get my body to put some weight on. So I think, or Friday night, yeah, by Friday night into Saturday morning, I finally went up 3 pounds. And it was the only time in my life where I've been like, yes, I
I
gained three
bet.
pounds overnight. Let's,
Yeah. That's amazing.
but it's funny because I feel like my glutes and hamstrings, how tight we got back there was honestly where I needed my glutes and hamstrings to be, but I cannot get tighter anywhere else. And that's what I mean by like
Mm,
wanting to have a little bit more size on me is I
yeah.
definitely for prejudging was hard, a little stringy, like, you know, parts were impressive, but like we did take my walk to the back out of my routine because my glutes were striated.
Oh,
So
smart.
yeah, I mean, I was like, oh dang it, but
But also,
but a smart play.
yeah.
So like it wasn't intentional, but I had to eat so much stinking food. But then for finals, finally started to catch up to me and we came back a lot fuller, which led to, placing where we did, which was super appreciated that, all the judges and Jack were very insistent on like rejudging and paying attention at night and seeing, and that was part of my feedback after Tahoe was we came back looking so good
Mm.
that they did take the time to rejudge.
I love that. When there's confirmation rounds, I feel like it's awesome because especially for pro bikini, like I mean, I guess for any pro show, really, when I think about it, but especially I think bikini, which everyone can have a great bikini structure, but then the way that it's displayed can look different.
Yes. Yes. And it looks different on every single girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the tough things really tough things about the division is the criteria looks different on everybody.
Yeah.
And what the criteria looks like on me will be different on you, different on the next girl. And you see all these girls who all these different body types and shapes and sizes. And it sometimes can be from the outside looking in, be like, I don't understand what they're looking for. I don't understand this division, but they're looking to apply how girl A looks and does she fit the
Yes.
So it can be, I don't envy the judges in any way.
No, I would not want to be a judge for bikini. Like I'd rather
Yeah.
judge other divisions.
No, yeah, tell me exactly what I'm looking for, please.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had a really great, I mean, lineup of judges at that show too. Like
Awesome.
I mean, really good. So you got to have some great feedback. And now what are, and I'm going to jump back to that 6 years off, by the way, because I still
Yeah,
have
you're
questions.
fine.
But now that we're on this track, I'm just going to ask, like, what are your plans now?
So I'm gonna take the rest of the year off, put a little size on. Again, kind of I was toying with the idea a little bit of we could have done another show, got in front of Sandy again, but I got really actionable feedback. And Jack was very like, your shape, your balance, everything great. Your glutes, amazing. He's like, just in comparison to these girls, you just got to grow overall. Like, so I could get in front of another judging panel and they could say something completely different. Like,
Right.
I could also show up completely different look, different point in the year. And I got very actionable feedback. And I know that my goal is to be at the top. And I know I need to add just density. So I would rather have the time, take some time off, end the season on such a high. I'm in such a good place, mentally, physically, everything, that take some time and then come back next year and just be ready to gun it and give it our all.
Oh, for sure. I think it's going to be great. And did you feel like your body needed that time now, or were you kind of like forcing yourself to go into improvement season?
If we didn't have to push food as hard, I probably would have been like, physically, I'm in a great place. I think, I mean, it wasn't even so much my body because my body needing that much food is not necessarily a bad sign. My metabolism's in a great place. I was so sick, girl. Like I was so uncomfortable eating that much. Like I've never felt that way before. And I don't complain. I'm somebody who is very like, if you tell me I need to dive into the ground, sure, let's do it. Do what I need to do. Um, and that's an extreme example, but like I don't whine about those things. That there was points where I had to eat again and there were like tears in my eyes because it was that bad. So initially after that show, I just wanted my stomach to feel better. And I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
if that's going to take a week. I don't know what's going to happen. But I've been in a place before where I was doing a national circuit and I know what it's like to be like, I feel okay. And then all of a sudden, your mind and your body are not. You are drained, you're exhausted. I felt great, but I also like knowing what that feels like. I didn't want to get to a place either where I didn't want to compete and I was doing it because I felt like I had to. So I was like, you know what? We're at a great place. I know what I need to work on. I'd rather have the couple months to do this and end it while I feel good.
Hmm. No, I think that's a much better place, especially when you're coming from a version of you prior to this season that was really ready to quit.
Yeah. Yeah. I never wanted, like, when I came back to this, I set some very clear boundaries with myself, my husband, and my coach. And it was at the end of the day, I need to do this for me. And if my mental health starts to waver, I'm done
What would that have
because
looked like?
it's like this, it's this feeling of being like, I don't feel good enough.
Hmm.
Suddenly, this is not fun anymore. I'm not enjoying the gym. I'm dreading getting to the stage because it just fills me with anxiety.
Yeah.
Like once those feelings start to creep in, I can't. If it started to affect my relationships in all of my relationships, if it started to affect work, life, other pieces of me, this is no longer a beneficial thing for me. And so I think having those boundaries and just being very stern with them is a good roadblock and barrier. I foresee competing to be a part of my life in some capacity for as long as God willing, can. because I continue to come back to this thing. But
Uh-huh.
it brings me so much joy. But until it doesn't anymore, and until if it's a chore or if it is something that takes more from me than it's giving, then I don't want it.
Oh yeah, I think that's good insight for people who might be wondering if they should continue or not, or where they're at mentally with things. I imagine too, in those 6 years, you're reestablishing, you said that basically like your identity outside of competing, like who
Mhm.
is Emmy, and what did you learn about yourself that now has actually potentially benefited you as an athlete who went pro?
I love that question. I was probably the first time in my life where I didn't know who I was, what I wanted. And it
Hmm.
was one of the scariest times in my life. You know, when you're so sure of yourself for so long and you feel so rooted in your identity. And especially like competing gave me so much strength. And it really, in those first few years taught me who I was and who I wanted to be. And then all of a sudden I didn't know anymore. It was like the ground had just been like removed from under you
Yep.
and you don't know what the future holds. And I remember there were many nights where I like go to bed crying or like I just didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was so young. I thought my entire life I was going to be a lawyer and then realized very quickly that that was me being a perfectionist and not what I actually wanted. And so coming out of that and being like, I don't know what I want to do. I am graduating college and I have no idea where I'm going career wise. I don't have this thing that gave me so much comfort for so long.
Yes.
There was a lot of times where I was just like, I know you're going to get to the other side of this. You've done harder things in your life. Um, but it was emotional. And so in that time, I had to learn to find assurance in myself. I think that was the biggest thing that had always been lacking for me is that self-belief and that self-worth that without titles, without anything else, you know that you are a good person. You know that you are X, Y, and Z. You know these things. And to be able to figure that out. And I also have to, commend my husband, my now husband. I say now husband, that sounds insanely weird, but like at the time he was my boyfriend.
I got
Um,
you.
God, that made sense.
Yeah.
But I have to commend him as well too, because his assurance and his faith and his belief in me from the day I met him helped me realize that I can find that in myself too.
Hmm.
And so I just always want to be at a place where if everything were taken from me, I know I'm okay. I know at my core who I am.
That right there, I think, is key for anyone pursuing anything. Like if the if what you're pursuing is going to cause extreme detriment to you, your life, and your mental health, if you do not actually achieve it, then there needs to be a shift in what pursuit means to you.
Yes. And it's really funny you say that. Again, kind of circling back like to the
Yeah.
bikini aspect, but you can apply this to literally anything else. Something I said to myself a lot this prep was even if you go to USA's, whatever show, this show, that show, if you go there and you don't win, you're still going to wake up the next day and you are still going to eat your meals. You're going to do your cardio. You're going to train. You are still a bodybuilder,
Mhm.
amateur, pro, win or lose. It
Yep.
doesn't matter the result. Is it something you want? Yes, and you can acknowledge that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change who you are as a person. And it doesn't change the fact that you love this sport, you love what you do. You're going to do it regardless. You're just doing it with a different title at a different level in a different league. That's really it. And so it's really funny you say that because I think having that in the back of my head was also just affirming that belief that regardless of outcome, you are who you are.
Yes, and I think if you pursue something in hopes that it will define you, like the outcome will define you, then you'll be left empty either way. Um, I think some people are surprised that I was okay with walking away from competing after 10 years and not having a pro card, not having placed at a national show. But to me, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good without it. Who I became in the process of competing and everything that I've learned, like that was the true reward. And I got to a place, Emmy, where I was like, I'm ready to just not do this anymore because I have so much assurance in who I am and what I want in life that I know with or without stage, like I'm still Celeste, like it's still me.
I love, 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 love that. I love every second of that too. And I think that comes from such a pure place of genuinely loving the sport, feeling genuine gratitude for what you got from it, and for being in it for you,
Yeah.
not anybody else, not the social media, not the trophies, not that. You are in it for who you became because of it.
Hmm.
And the sport can do that for you. It can go the other way too, but it can, if you will open yourself to that. And that is one thing that, like, during that time when I wasn't competing, and I wish I could say I walked away the same way you did, because I didn't. Because when I wasn't competing, there were plenty of times where, like, that vision of winning my pro card would, like, creep in my head,
Yeah.
and I would cry. Like, I would genuinely, it's like the one thing that could actually make me tear up on command. And I
Hmm.
realized the entire time how badly I wanted it, and how badly I wanted to compete, and how I still wasn't done, even though I was telling myself that you're good, you're done, you don't need to do this. Like, you can accept not, it was such a big goal. So you can accept not achieving that goal. And I wish I could, maybe not, because I'm glad I'm back, but at the same time, I wish I could have stepped away being like, you got what you needed from this. You were genuinely okay with it. Because I wasn't.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think that's really good insight right there. I knew I had to do another season because if I hadn't, I would have thought about it forever.
Sure.
So I was in that same place. I just it it came with the pain of losses like yourself, but
Mhm.
also I knew I was already ready to be done, but I couldn't let it go yet. It was almost like if I had um stepped away, I would have regretted it. I would have thought about it forever. I would have
Yep.
kept what ifing, whereas
Yep.
as soon as I was like, I'm just gonna do it one more time because I really do love this and I really wanted a season that was just for the love of the game, like most of my seasons were for the love, but there was always that I'm chasing, I'm
Yep.
wanting more. I need to compete again. I need to compete again. Like there were some seasons where I should have taken time off and I didn't.
Yep.
So coming back and just like I'm already done after this, it was a very good feeling. Like whether I went pro or not, my decision was still the same that that would be it.
And I'm sure that was, like, also the most affirming thing, but at the same time, you probably enjoyed the experience that much more, and were able to leave with that feeling in your heart because you took it from that season. You
Hmm.
probably went into, like, at those preps, like, really enjoying, like, there's suck, yes, there's those moments, but being able to be like, you know what? Like, this is it. And being able to enjoy those moments, even like backstage, show day, all those things, probably so much more. And that's something that, like, I really want to challenge myself to take into my, like, first official rookie season, like, as a pro, is have that gratitude in your heart, because you don't know if this is the end. Like, this could be taken from you tomorrow and you don't know that. And so just to always have that.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually think your time off before coming back, like that time frame where you're like, I'm done, but then you kept having that like thought in the back of your mind.
Mhm.
I feel like that's actually a really great foundation for gratitude too, because you know how it feels to miss it. You know how it feels to desire that grind, to desire some of the suck, and then to go through the wedding prep and experience some of that, just like a little taste of it. It probably made you like that much more excited when like your plan changed and you knew you were gonna push a little bit more.
I've said it a lot. but every time I've wanted it and didn't get it, I didn't deserve it. It
Hmm.
wasn't it genuinely going back to that cliche from earlier, like total full circle. It was not my time.
Yeah.
And I think if I were to get it back then, I would have been happy, but I wouldn't have understood the full extent of what that means. When you have to pour your heart into something for years and have this dream, have this goal, and believe in yourself, even though it doesn't always feel attainable, or other people may not believe in you, or all these other things. And then when you get there, you appreciate it that much more. And I am so grateful for every time I was told not yet, because the time I was told yes was far better than I could have ever dreamt for myself.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think sometimes we go into things with this belief that this is what I'm supposed to get out of it. I'm supposed to get
Yes.
this program. I'm supposed to qualify for the Olympia. I'm supposed to,
Hmm.
and or I'm supposed to win an overall. I'm supposed to place first, like all these things. But I think we neglect that God has potentially set up a different purpose for that pursuit than what we think. Like, I didn't know this was going to come out of it, Confessions of Bikini Pro. I didn't know Build More Than Just a Body was going to. And so I'm like, I think God was working in a different way in competing in my journey than what I thought. I thought I'm gonna finally go pro as an athlete, and or I'm gonna become a pro athlete in something. I get to channel like my love for working out and being active and healthy and fit into this. He was like, nope, got something else for you, and maybe you're not yet have equipped you to be a better coach, a better, more patient person. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I guess I'm asking, like, what did those not yets teach you? If you're looking for competition heels, jewelry, and fun competitor extras, then visit shoefairyofficial.com and use code CELESTE for a discount at checkout.
I, and for this not to sound out as self-righteous as it might come across, but since we're talking about this, I think that I went through everything that I have thus far in my life and probably will continue to do because I think I was put here to at least inspire and support one person. I think I went through my eating disorder so that way I can relate to other women and be a champion for them and stand in their corner. I love competing with my heart and soul. It is something I very much do because it fills my cup and I can channel a lot of anxious energy into it. But I think this season, the overall USA's everything, I think it has given me a platform to share that with other women
Oh yeah.
and to be a part and to again to champion support them and be the person in their lives that says you can take up space. And so as much as I love the sport and I'm very passionate about it, I do think of it as like kind of the medium to something else, if that all makes sense. And again, not to sound like as
Yes.
like wow, you're like the messiah or something, but like I do
No, it
genuinely
doesn't sound like that at
feel
all.
okay, good.
Yeah, no, it does not sound like that at all. I actually think there are a lot of people who hope to inspire others from their journey. And it's really awesome that this sport gives us that opportunity to do
Yes.
that. And you've been able to not just channel your own experiences and purpose through that, but help and genuinely work with others in changing their life. Like I do want to talk to you about the eating disorder because that was a huge
Mhm.
reason you obviously got to where you are now. Um, so let's just dive into that. I mean, it was 2017. Um, you decided, okay, I'm going to start competing. But what eating disorder did you struggle with? And then what made you attracted to bodybuilding as your way to overcome it?
Yeah. So I think it was, so it would have been, I graduated high school in 2016. So I guess it would have been like the fall of 2015 in my senior year of high school. Um, so prior to that, have like pretty much every anxiety disorder under the sun. I've dealt with depression, diagnosed panic disorder, general anxiety. I now have PTSD. I had OCD, like basically all the, abbreviations list you can name. You can staple that onto me. So dealt with a lot of that. And my eating disorder came about as anxiety in a different way. And it was a way for me to control a lot of things in life that I couldn't control at a young age. And what started as a let me, control my intake turned into me only eating lettuce, cucumbers, green peppers, I think sometimes broccoli. Like I was afraid of grapes. I was afraid of everything. But you can also only, and I was doing, so prior to that, I was going to the gym a little bit because my family was always, my mom ran, my uncle went to the gym. Like I was played sports, like around a pretty healthy, active lifestyle. And my family was never like, you know, I didn't get it because like of my mother or anything. Like it wasn't like mirrored behavior. It was purely control. Anyway, so I went from that to somehow, convincing myself that I could only do cardio. And then I was doing hours and hours of cardio every day. And the more I started seeing results in my body, the smaller I got, the more compliments I was getting, the more attention I was getting, the more it fed it.
Hmm.
And so suddenly I was no longer doing this as like, this is a controllable. It was, I need to appeal to outside pressure. I need to be perfect. I need to look perfect. I need to do all these things. So it was just growing like the snowball effect. And you can also only maintain that for so long. And I was getting very sick very, very quickly. I don't remember the exact amount of weight, but I remember I graduated high school at 89 pounds, like super, super tiny. And you can only maintain that for so long. So what started as anorexia turned into anorexia and bulimia. And, bulimia has a bunch of different means of getting rid of calories, whether that's through exercise, which is orthorexia, whether that's using like laxatives, whether that's purging. And so I definitely dabbled in everything, definitely went the extreme route and was in an in-treatment facility, which that's incredibly difficult to even get in, which is super, super sad. The number of beds available are super, super limited. So by the time I could get there, they kind of have criteria of like where you need to be at to even get into those facilities, as and you kind of have to be like your body's failing you.
Yeah.
And my kidneys were failing. I was starting to show like, some irregular heartbeats, like things were not good. But when you're in that state, you are also very manipulative.
Hmm.
And I sweet talked my way into getting out of there early. I shouldn't have been let out of there. I did have one of the therapists in there. I remember she told me when I left, we'll see you soon. We'll see you back here.
She knew.
And she knew. And unfortunate is that a lot of people who have eating disorders relapse. It's
Hmm.
part of it. And to the point where we discuss it as part of recovery. It's funny because I remember her, and right after I earned my pro card, my mom and I had, been talking the entire time. I'm very close with her, and she loves me competing. But I remember I was like, "Hey, mom, remember that therapist who told me we'll see you back here? I just want to go back and rub this in her face."
Right.
But so either way, so I got out of there. I graduated, and I was still so sick. But I wanted to start school a semester early, do a summer semester, and just get out of this small town that I felt like it was killing me. And I remember my mom being given, she told me this after the fact, but she was given, you can send her and she has a 50-50 shot, or you can keep her here and you can watch her die. And so she's like, I'm terrified to send her away, but I'm going to take the chance that she has to get better. And so she sent me to school. And I remember that day that I was going to school. and it clicked with me.
Hmm.
I was like, I'm going to a school where there's 50,000 other students who don't know who I am. They don't know this person that I feel like I need to be. They don't know the person that I've decided I had to be my whole life. I can get better because I can finally relinquish that. And I remember that day, I woke up in the morning. I said, I'm done. I ate pasta for breakfast. We got lunch when we got to school, and I was like, nope, you need to eat. You need to recover. You need to take care of your body. You need to fix all these organ systems that are starting to fail you. Like, you need to do this. And so like I said, I was always active my whole life, and I still felt like I needed to earn my food.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't let myself go back to the same mindsets that I always had. But I wanted to be healthy. And was trying to play on like, you have these eating disorder thoughts with also wanting to take care of your body, trying to figure this out, kind of doing it alone. And so I was like, you know what? All right, fine. If you're going to do this, then there weren't like sports going on because it was summer semester. I was like, you can go to the gym and you can work out and you can get really strong, and it snowballed. And like that, so when I said I wanted to be a lawyer, all of a sudden I became obsessed with like learning about nutrition. I found macros. I figured out that, oh my gosh, if I want to build muscle, like how much I had to eat, to repair what I've already done, on top of if I want to grow. And I started following like a lot of like the OG like fitfluencer, athletes, competitors, because it was all kind of mixed into one. And I definitely channeled an obsession into a obsession that was beneficial to me. And I put all that anxious energy into that. And every time that those thoughts crept into my brain, I would just be like, nope, you got to grow. Nope, you want muscle. You're not going back. We can't go backwards. So we at least got to go forward, and you're going to put this somewhere. And I don't know. It literally saved my life.
Mhm.
And I am somebody who like, I don't, do anything at half capacity. So I trained hard, and people always ask like, are you competing? What do you do? And I was like, no way. That is going to make my eating disorder worse.
So
And,
you had that belief going into
oh,
it.
totally.
Okay.
Totally. I was very, very protective and cautious of that. But I had a girlfriend who she had started competing. And she is just like, I remember at the time just being like, this girl is jacked. She looks so cool. Like, she's just I love it. Like, I loved every second of it. And she kind of gave me some insight into what it actually looks like. And she's like, you know what? Like, give it a try. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You know, if anything, it could be beneficial. It's keeping you accountable in the sense that you still got to grow into this sport. So, and I was like, okay. I talked to my mom about it. I was like, if anything, like the same boundaries that I had about coming back to the sport period, I put around that.
Hmm.
And so I did. I did my first show. I fell in love with it and just kept going. And it was something that, and I always respect the fact that I think I've always been more on the petite side, is that I've always had to grow into the sport. And so that has always kept me so accountable, because I can't go back. I don't have that luxury. If I want to do well and if I want to continue to pour into this, you got to grow. And I love having that. And I love that, like, I know there's some people who don't love, how the division has changed and that bikini wants more muscularity. But for me, it's really good. It's really, really good for me, because I can channel it in a positive direction.
Hmm. So when you got into bodybuilding, how did it change your view of it potentially worsening your eating disorder behaviors?
I think it's something I've always had to kind of keep at the forefront,
Hmm.
because I mean, there's times like it's something that doesn't ever 100% go away. You are always around food. It's not like it's a substance abuse, and not to take from that, but it's not a substance abuse disorder where you can cut it cold turkey and just not have it around you. It is always in front of your face. And there are times where those thoughts are a lot stronger than other times.
Mhm.
But I think it's something that I've kind of accepted. I don't know. I wish I could sit here and tell you I will never have like those anxieties or that need for control or all those different things ever again. It's always, I think, somewhere in the back of my head and just a part of who I am and how my brain is wired and the chemical imbalance in my brain. So I would rather put that energy into something that is at least positive. If I am going to have, a bunch of OCD or all these other things, I would at least rather channel that in a way that is beneficial than trying to cope with it in a very negative way.
Mm. I understand that completely. I feel like my past with disordered eating was heavily fueled by me having bipolar 2.
Mm,
And I think similarly, like the hypomanic episodes made me really like successful by a young age with business, but also like the extreme depressions that then it's like you crave the next push that and you almost overcapitalize on it. So I had to become very mindful of that, and that's still a work in progress for me as far as like, okay, is this a healthy amount of energy going into this, or is this still coming
yep.
from a same place and I'm justifying it? So how do you know when maybe you're entering some of the more risky, like what I could see as a potential trigger would be, and these are things I've seen from clients I've worked with,
Mhm.
had histories of anorexia. Something I notice is either A, when they get lean for competition, it starts to trigger them because they're scared. They're seeing themselves really, really lean again. And
Mhm.
they don't like that. And it could almost trigger a shift back to the bulimic type of
Sure.
recovery.
Yep.
Or I see when they go into an improvement season and they start to gain weight, and not all that weight is muscle, some of it's fat, they get triggered by the body image change. So have you experienced those kind of triggers and pulls?
I will say it has gotten a lot. Okay, so it obviously has gotten a lot easier over time. Again, you're in this longer, you're more aware. You grow over time and have more tools in your tool belt.
Hmm.
I think if anything, the times where it's been the worst has been going back probably to like 2017, 18, 19, those first few years as an athlete competitor. When you get lean, it's this euphoric reward system in your brain of I'm worthy enough. I'm being rewarded for being
Yep.
lean. So
Yep.
letting go of that and seeing yourself in an off season, more body fat, more shape. And the kind of the catch though is I'm so goal oriented that I've always known, okay, well, I'm doing this to grow. I'm doing this because my checklist. I want that more than I want to go backwards.
Yep.
Now, I will also say maybe part of this is growth in my eating disorder. Maybe part of this is just growth as a person. My last few off seasons, I've actually gotten a lot more comfortable in my body and genuinely enjoyed it. Like to the point of this for Tahoe, I got so lean that it was really cool. Don't get me wrong. There's points where I was like, it is cool to see like be an anatomy scan, basically, like see all these different things.
Yeah.
But there was one point, and I remember this very specifically. I was getting my hair done for that show and um sitting in my hair girl's chair, and all of a sudden I looked at my face and I was like, girl, nope, no, no, no. I
That's
do
the
not like,
worst part.
yeah. And I tend to have a lot more like of a rounder face. Like I have a lot more like actually, and that was one thing I was always insecure about is like I feel like I put fat on in my face immediately, like right to my cheeks, everything. And so I used to really like my diet phase because it was just like more snatched, like, but
Oh
that was,
yeah, I felt the same way. Oh, for sure.
mhm.
Actually, like even now, this is not as round as I've gotten in the past, and I'm like, when am I gonna get even rounder? But like I'm like you, like I kind of liked when my face was more snatched.
Yes, and everyone, no one does. Also, I think you look amazing. So, but
Oh,
I
thank
get
you.
it. I get it. I literally get it. But I remember that moment of like sitting there and being like, it is so hollow. You look so sunken in. I was like, I know that I'm eating. I know that this is not like,
Hmm.
but I felt like Skeletor. And I was like, I don't like this. If anything, it was more like, I'm kind of looking forward to off season in this moment. Like, I'm excited to compete. Do not take that way. But I was like, I'm
Right.
ready for, a little bit of a glow back. But over time, like this, the off season that I had between when I did my first and a couple of shows because I did did the overall a couple weeks later, but between that and nationals last year, I I was so confident in like a curvier, fuller body. I still felt good. I still felt like I looked athletic, but I felt just good in my skin. And I think that was such a mental win for me. And once you have those, I feel like I'm not as afraid going into an improvement season because it's not like I'm not going to love my body again. It's not like I'm not going to, appreciate
Yeah.
that. And then, like again, like I look like a human being. My husband will never say this. He loves me the way I look all the time, but I know he likes when I have like a little bit more shape to me. I naturally like have like, feminine hips. Like I have curve. So I think like having those things and then also just having at least for me, I know this is not for everybody, being focused on the goal at hand. And when the goal at hand for me is to build size in these places, all right, I might have a moment where I'm like, I wish I was in prep again, but I know I'm doing this for this, and this. And having like, for me, a big thing is like health markers. I know that I want my blood work to look like this. I know I want to get my cycle back. I know I want to pour more into my business right now because I have the brain capacity to do that. Like having those other things that are not so physical when you spent so much of your life and this sport too, like focus on the physical piece. So just having things outside of that, even like love training hard, having strength goals in the gym, having something else that's so not aesthetic focused does help.
I really, really like that point right there too, because in prep, you are really working towards a look. You need to
Mhm.
meet the
Yep.
criteria and you know what you're working towards, and that is heavily dictated by what your physique looks like. And that's
Hmm.
because we're eating so much and like you said we're around food all the time, especially as competitors, then there becomes a really strong correlation, or at least association in our mind between what we eat and how our body looks. So then in improvement season you might still be eating the same things, but now your body's gaining weight and it's a
Hmm.
good thing, but you're adjusting to that. So to have those things outside of physique, that you can be excited about or working towards is awesome. Whether that's strength or, like you said, blood work,
Hmm.
um, even things like in relationship or business, as you said. So, you are not just a competitor. You are a coach, you're a wife, you're a firm mom. So, what else do you like really enjoy about your life or look forward to? Maybe when you do have more of that capacity to
Yeah,
invest in it.
I love that. And I like the other piece of that too is like always wanting to be, I never want to be that girl that's just a body. I
Yep.
never want to be that girl that's just, oh, you're pretty. Like, I want to be a full human being. I want people to see me as a full human being. I want, to be smart, be all these other things. And I think there's so much more to life. And I think the more I've been in the sport, because it's very easy, and especially when, to do well, you have to be obsessive. But you also have to remember that it is a piece of your life and a piece of you as a person. It is not your whole life. It is not all that you are. And the older I get, the more I'm in the sport, the more I realize that and the easier it is. But what outside of that, even though it is such a big part of my life, I love coaching. I love building businesses. My husband and I run a software company.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah.
I did
So
not know that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
we like, well, this company itself is relatively new, but so we love doing that. We love like pouring into those things. Actually, we bought really. okay, this shows the investment I have to competing, but the other things, the house I have right now is a investment property, and I bought it, signed the papers, immediately got in the car, drove to Iowa, won the overall there
That's
um
awesome.
a year ago. So there is a
So
competing side
awesome.
to everything apparently in my life. But we love like doing things like that. We love to travel. Our favorite place in the entire world is Seabrook Island in South Carolina.
Hey, I'm in South Carolina.
I know, and I love every second of it. I was like, oh,
That's
we go
awesome.
there quite a bit. But we just like to travel, period. I love being outside. I love going for walks, being in nature, being by the ocean. Kind of like those cliche things, but I also like I always mention being a fur mom because my pets are my life. I have this like thing for rescuing animals, like especially handicapped animals. I like they
Oh,
always find their way here. So yeah, just having like other pieces of you and other things that bring you joy, make you excited. And that helps too with like those boundaries and especially keeping the eating disorder in check,
yes.
especially in off season, because you have other things that are filling your cup and giving you happiness outside of this one thing, especially when it's body focused.
Oh yeah, I love that. I could not agree more. Having things outside of this sport. I mean, I got a puppy this prep and it was wonderful. Like, and he's grown so much. But like I mean it just gave me other things to focus on and do and be it made movement more happy and
Yes.
playful, and I had less time to think, less time to rot on the couch when I didn't want to move because like I had to care for this animal, and then he became like my best friend, like he's like my emotional support animal pretty much, and it's so special, and I think having like I live close to family now, whereas when I was in Arizona I was in improvement seasons was a little bit different, but I wasn't near family. So being near family, having continuing to travel through prep too, if you
Yep.
can, doing things so you're not just always like prep puts me in this box where nothing else matters. Like I don't think that's a healthy mentality.
And I agree completely. And again, it's one of those things that I think you do learn and get used to over time, but you realize that prep does not mean the world stops for you.
Right.
You still need to be involved. Like I'm definitely someone that like I go out of my way to like pour extra into relationships, do social things outside. But it doesn't mean that when I'm in prep, that all of a sudden, because I did that in off season, it pauses. People
Hmm.
still need me. My clients still need me operating at full capacity. Like businesses don't stop. Those things don't end. So I really make it intentional to constantly be as involved as possible. And we've traveled every single month this year. September will be the only month we haven't. So
Wow.
I mean, but we love it and we
That's
love doing
awesome.
things. We love experiences. And just because I might have to go to the grocery store and plan ahead and bring my food with me, it doesn't mean that that stuff has to end. And again, it's not easy, but it does get easier to have that mindset. The more you do it and the more you realize that this is a part of your life and it's a part of your lifestyle. And when your improvement season and prep are not super different in terms of the lifestyle you live, maybe the amount of cardio you do, yeah, but like aside from that, it it just becomes a part of you.
So true. Yeah, and it's funny because I'm married to someone who had no understanding of bodybuilding at all. So my most relaxed season, if you want to use the term relax, I don't know, just like less
Yeah. Yeah.
was this one. And he still thought I was so he's like, you're so disciplined, you're so strict, you're so, and I'm like, wow. And here I am thinking I've actually
Let
let
go.
go of some of that. Like previous me would have never done this. Like it's so nuts. But it does put things in perspective too when you allow yourself to be around people who, because Instagram makes us
Mhm.
feel like our little niche world is
The whole
everything.
world.
Yeah. Then you like step outside, you go to the grocery store, like nobody knows who Miss Bikini Olympia is, and you're like, hello, unless they live in Vegas, maybe. But like you're like, hello. Like even yeah, it's crazy. I mean, most people don't know. I mean, most competitors even after a few years are like, I don't know who won 2019. I could maybe name the people. Like most people would have this lack of awareness because I think we really love and relate to the process.
Absolutely. And I've said that time and time again, and it really puts you in perspective. And sometimes it's just like a good mental thing, but our little niche world means nothing to anyone else. Like you go and you can win a show, and then the next day you are going back to work, back to life. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it is a humbling experience, but it's not like you're an NFL player in the sense that
Right.
like people are going to recognize you. I mean, people in our world,
They will.
sure. But other than that, like you are a human being. You might be a human being and you might look great and like have like, walking through the grocery store, but that's it. And it is such like a humbling thing too. And it's also funny that you said that because we are so hard on ourselves and we are so disciplined and we are so exact and so precise. And that is the expectation we have set for ourselves. But even if we are operating at 50% of that, because I even think back to when I wasn't competing and people still thought that, wow, you were
Right.
so disciplined, you were so this, that. And I was like, you should have seen me a few years ago.
Exactly. You
Like, I,
haven't seen anything
no,
yet.
literally, like, I feel like a schmuck right now.
Yeah.
But like, you are still the 1%. And I think that's also something to keep in your head too, of even when you feel like you're not at your best, or even when you're in peak off season and you're like maybe not feeling the most comfortable, or whatever the situation is, just remembering that you are still doing what other people could never do. And that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And similarly, like most of the times when you allow yourself to step back, like you go into an improvement season, maybe, yeah, you're not doing 100, maybe you're looking more like 75, and that might seem really low, but you're like, well, it's actually still really great. I mean, even that's an accomplishment because I think
Totally.
competitors were so equipped to live a healthy lifestyle, but we've put so much pressure on it. These macros have to be perfect, the workout days have to be perfect, the recovery days have to, everything has to be perfect, that we don't give ourselves enough credit that we could actually pull back and be very, very equipped to be healthy.
Absolutely. I mean, like that's the thing. When I look back on like when I wasn't competing, I 1,000% honest. I mean, there's some times where I'm like, wow, if I was training the way I train now, imagine where I'd be. But you
Right.
can't do that.
Can't.
But I would go in the gym and like go through the motions. I still looked great. Like looking back, like I mean now, like you're so hard on yourself. I definitely like there was points where I was like, I've looked better. I've done this, not the other thing. But I was content with being where I was. Like you have really and truly have so many tools at your fingertips, but you're right, because we're so used to being so on it. If we're not that way, we feel like everything is going to fall apart.
Mhm.
It's not. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is like for a lot of my lifestyle clients, we do macro ranges, right? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, those 20 calories is not going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things. You're just moving the needle
Mhm.
forward every day a little bit over time. You're
Yeah,
going to get there.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, and comparing yourself to competitors when you're a lifestyle client, like that's so unfair. Or even being
Mhm.
a competitor and comparing yourself to like your prep self or your improvement season self, like it's different. And I think that one of the beautiful things that can come from competing is an acceptance that your body is always changing and evolving. It brings a lot of
Yep.
peace.
It is. But you also like in so many senses, but also just knowing that yes, your body is never going to look the same at this point in your life versus this time. That's okay, but it's also made to. And I also think the more aware you are of what's going on in your body and how special it is and how crazy and cool it is that all these systems are interacting in the most
Mhm.
perfect way at the perfect time, to keep you alive. I think having that sense of there's something bigger than us too, working at play helps a lot.
Oh yeah, I love that. Puts so much in perspective. Like transitioning for me from improvement season to sudden, well, from prep to suddenly I'm pregnant. I'm like, "Oh, okay." You know, it's like amazing and there's times though where I have those thoughts because I'm like, "Oh, wow, I haven't seen my body look like this or do this in a while." But I'm also like, "Yeah, but my body's also never built a life form, like a child, a literal baby that I'm gonna hold in like
Huh?
5, 6 months, depending on how long it wants to cook." I mean, like, there's there's so much to it that I'm like, I have to remind myself it's like very, very beautiful what's happening. So yeah, a little bit of extra like spider veins showing in my legs, or it's like, okay, that's literally like in comparison to the life form that's about to come from this, it's like nothing.
That your body grew. And it's crazy that it can do that. I was telling a friend the other day that like I'm so in awe of my mom competitor friends for many, many, many reasons. One of them being you grew a human, your body did that, and now your body's doing this for you. Like that is such a cool thing. And like to kind of even tie that back to like the eating disorder piece of things too, when you have that appreciation for your body and what it can do for you, what like this sounds so silly, but there are times I'll be out for a walk and I'm like, my body's allowing me to move forward, enjoy this, see this beautiful sunrise, do these things. And it sounds a little bit
Mhm.
like woohoo, like, okay, you crazy
No, I
girl.
love
Okay.
it.
But those things we take for granted. And I think sometimes when you have had those experiences where your body was shutting down, failing you, where you didn't know if like you wanted to go forward. Like there are multiple points in my life where I thought this is it. I'm done. And so to have those moments when I was in Tahoe on that boat at that photo shoot being like, wow, this is life. It was genuinely those feelings of I'm so grateful that I have a body that is allowing me to do this.
Absolutely. Like
Um,
thanking your I have this body image meditation I have for my clients, and one of the things that we focus on actually is this topic of thank you eyes for letting me see or look into the eyes of the person that I love. Thank you hands for letting me grasp things that I would never feel otherwise. Like, thank you, lungs, for the fresh air I get to breathe in. And all the little systems that work without us thinking about it. Like, our heart is just pumping because it's pumping. And some people don't have that. Some people have lost that ability. Some people weren't
yes.
born with that ability. So it puts it into perspective when we're like, oh, we're literally choosing. We're choosing to challenge our body. We're choosing to change our body in this way. We're choosing to do this, but that's because we have the choice. Not everybody has
Yes.
the ability, the choice, or and when I say the ability, I'm referring in this case to like finances, to
Sure.
resources.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
everybody has that in order to pursue this.
That's the thing. Like uh, it health is so, so, so crucial, but you don't realize how big of a role it plays in everything until it's gone. But how remarkable of it for us to be in a sport, be competitive, where we're having, telling our bodies to do things it doesn't want to do, and it does it
Yes.
for us anyway. Like that's insane. And those are little things too that like kind of going back to the things that keep you in check, right? Like
Mm.
when you're having those really bad days or bad times or the thoughts are a little bit stronger, having those thoughts of being like, but I get to do this. But I have a body that lets me do this. I have a body that lets me do what I love. I get to like all these different pieces and just realizing like how complex that system is in and of itself and feeling gratitude towards it. It's one of like the biggest in terms of like just speaking about gratitude, just like one of the biggest like I don't know, just telltale fixes for absolutely
Yeah.
everything in life
It's so
though.
grounding. It's like, oh
It
yeah,
is. It is.
great. I have this. Like, oh, I'm complaining about I gotta pay this mortgage, but then I'm like, but I have this roof over my head and I'm in a safe neighborhood and I'm
Mm-hmm.
accomplished something that I worked hard for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I feel like we've talked about so much stuff, which is awesome. But is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have, or that you're like, gosh, I really would like to share this?
Oh, I guess like the one big thing is, and if I could just like, if I'm speaking at anybody ever, it's about just like, so sorry, didn't mean to completely stumble over there, but like,
No.
um, I've been in the sport for a long time. It's been nearly a decade. So it took me a long time to reach a goal that I had set for myself and something I've dreamed about. Like I've told you, Celeste, like being on this podcast was something that I had envisioned and wondered what I would say and think about and always wanted to do years ago, years and years ago. And so to have that moment is just like so gratifying. But if there's anybody out there who is still pushing towards a goal or is still working towards something and it feels like you can never achieve it or it feels like your journey is not going as fast as somebody else's, if you have that feeling in your heart, if that vision is in your mind, keep going. You need to believe in yourself more than anybody else ever will because you're the only one at the end of the day who's really going to push yourself forward and really see your own potential. Keep going, keep showing up. If you want it, go get it and make it yours.
That's such good encouragement for someone in their not yet season.
You know what? I think it's those things that like, you've had to learn to tell yourself. And I've spent so many times of seeing these girls, and I'm not denying that they should have gotten it, but when they go pro, like on their first try, and those thoughts go in your head of, why not me? Am I meant for this? Like, is this actually where I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be? But if you genuinely believe in it yourself, there is a reason that belief exists.
Yeah, I love that so much. Well, I mean, that might be your best advice, but I'm still gonna ask you for your best advice. What would be your best advice for someone who hasn't competed before but wants to? And then your best advice for someone who's on their road to pro?
Somebody who hasn't competed before but wants to, soak it all in and be willing to, just learn, be educated, take your guard down, take the ego down, just absorb everything and ask questions. Want to learn, want to get more educated, want to understand the whys behind things. Like take the time to learn your body, take the time to, have a coach, have other people in your corner, and go for it. You don't know if it's something you love and something that excites you until you try. And then, yeah, someone who's on their road to pro is just do not give up. If you genuinely, genuinely want this and you believe in it and you know you can do it, take feedback, apply feedback, but keep showing up every single day. Even if you're showing up every single day is only showing up at, 50% max energy because that's all you have for today, do it anyway because it will happen for you if you want it to be.
That's beautiful. I love that so much. And I want people to be able to thank you, connect with you, follow you in your journey, maybe even work with you. So how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can find me. All my social media is MEK _IFBB Pro, mostly on Instagram. I occasionally like repost the same things on TikTok. I don't really know how to use that app, but I'm on there. Um,
I feel that.
full disclosure.
Mine like says you can't log in, and I'm like, okay, I'm not even gonna try anymore. Thanks.
Sorry, you're done. Okay, I had somebody. This is just ranting at this point. Was like, oh, I messaged you on there, and I was like, I'm so sorry because I don't know how to get to that.
Yeah, I love it.
And then my website is MEKFit, so it's all one word, .com.
Awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes page. So you guys, that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you're listening on September 5th, it is at the top of the page. If you're listening in the future, just scroll down to the category section. Not only will you find how to connect with us, but you're also going to see a full summary of the episode, a bulleted list of the topics we covered, and episode timestamps. So you can go back, listen to your favorite part, share it with your friends, your family, your teammates, let them know what resonated with you. And of course, please tag us or message us. Let us know what stood out to you. It goes such a long way, not just for the podcast, but really mainly for the athletes who come on here and share so openly. I think Emmy's a great example of that. Like to go from I'm listening to the podcast and I can't wait to be on it to now I'm on it. And I think there's a lot of listeners who will have that moment. And it's so nice when you get the feedback for being so vulnerable on the show. So thank you guys in advance for all of your support of this episode and of Emmy. And with all of that being said, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.